Alright guys, what is going on? I'm Tubby and we're drinking some horrible Mexican Coke. We're talking about the main event of tonight's pay-per-view that I think may not even happen, or if it does happen, will be a modified version of this setup match. It is Brock Lesnar, the ass kicker, the guy that doesn't care about anybody but himself, going up against hustle, loyalty, respect, the guy that gives everything for this company, this business, John Cena. And what a night it's going to be. I think, all the matches leading up to this one, this will definitely be the main event because of what will happen. I don't see Chris Jericho and CM Punk going on last. If it didn't go on at WrestleMania last, because of the big profile, it won't go on last here. I think with Brock Lesnar and John Cena, this feud is way too rushed for me. I like the fact that Brock Lesnar's back, don't get me wrong. Even if he sucks on the mic, even if he's got these horrible demands, it's still nice to see Brock Lesnar come back, because there's really nobody else stepping up in the WWE. Brock didn't come back to the WWE to be good at speaking. Brock doesn't have to be good at speaking. And, I always say I wish Paul Heyman would come back and speak for him. He doesn't really need it. You can have a low voice and still kick people's ass. And I think, this match is going to show a lot of ring rust for the competitor. I think Brock is going to be off his game. It's not like when The Rock came back and The Rock was training, for Survivor Series. The Rock, when he was on movie sets, he had a ring set up every movie set he was on. He had a ring, and Kurt Hawkins was working with him, and he was active, and he was constantly wrestling. Brock just made the decision back in December when he lost to Alistair Overeem at the pay-per-view that he was going to come back to WWE. There was talks about him possibly coming back, whether he threw the match, who knows. And, it was wildly speculated for months that Brock was finally going to make a WWE return. The rumors started speculating right before WrestleMania 28 when it got leaked on, all the rumor sites, PW Insider, Wrestling Inc., saying that Brock's coming back. And I'm glad they didn't have him come back at WrestleMania 28. It doesn't really make sense. Now, the problem that I have with this match is there's so many different things that can happen at WrestleMania 29 that they originally wanted to announce the main event just like they did last year because it was a huge success. They had 1.3 million pay-per-view buys. That's a record for WWE pay-per-views. And they decided not to do it. They're going to wait till November to announce the main event. And that main event can change. There's still word about The Undertaker still competing. So it could be, Undertaker versus Rock, Undertaker versus Cena, Undertaker versus Lesnar. There's a lot of different routes they could go. But at the same time, there's questions whether or not it's going to be Cena versus Rock, if it's going to be Brock versus The Rock. Rock left it open that he wanted to be the champion. Some people think it's going to be Brock versus The Rock at SummerSlam. Some people think it's going to be Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk at SummerSlam, or Randy Orton versus Brock. And I think that's why this pay-per-view is intriguing to me, to try to figure out what's going to happen. Most of the matches are probably going to be pretty cut and dry, pretty self-explanatory. It's probably not going to be a worthwhile pay-per-view to buy, but I'm going to buy it anyway and go in with the hopes that something interesting will happen. Now, look at the guys that are kept off the pay-per-view card. Christian, Del Rio, Mysterio's out, now suspended. You have Lord Tenzai, who isn't on the card, Brodus Clay. You probably get a match thrown on the card for the tag team champions, possibly Titus O'Neil and Darren Young taking on Primo and Epico. Maybe Abraham Washington shows up. But then when it comes down to this match, I think the crowd will be dependent on the CM Punk versus Chris Jericho match. If Chris Jericho wins, the crowd is going to be crazy because CM Punk lost in his hometown, and they'll be wildly fierce for this match, I think, and that's what I think they should do. And in my honest opinion, I hope, just because of the fact that this feud is so new, that it is not Brock Lesnar versus John Cena tonight in a straight-up one-on-one Extreme Rules match. I hope Lesnar makes some bitching or some complaining to, John Laurinaitis and says, you know what, if I'm in trouble tonight, John, you have to send somebody out to help me. Or, you know what, I want you to do a gauntlet match. Something like that. That was the wild rumors going around saying it was going to be a gauntlet match. And I honestly think that's what should happen. I think there should be something to soften up Brock. Because if we get a straight 30-minute match or 25-minute match between Brock Lesnar and John Cena, it's not going to be super amazing. It won't be because, Brock's probably got a lot of ring rust. I don't know for sure. But to me, there just has to be. You know, he hasn't wrestled in 8 years. He's done UFC real punching. Look what happened when he busted open Cena's jaw. And it was supposed to be fake punches, and then it went in really connected. Maybe Cena said, go ahead and hit me, Brock, I don't care, make it legit. To me, I want to see this match go on, and I want to see it end where Cena doesn't decisively lose, and Brock Lesnar doesn't necessarily lose as well. And you're probably saying to yourself, how is that going to happen? Well, maybe John Cena's winning, and Lord Tensai comes out, and Brock picks up an easy win after that. Maybe, you know, Lord Tensai faces John Cena first. Maybe somebody softens him up for Brock Lesnar. Who knows? But I do know if they go on, face each other face to face, it's just going to create problems. I really do think that, in my honest opinion, that the feud would be too rushed. It wouldn't really make sense. You know, because right now he just came back because he wants to legitimize wrestling and he hates John Cena, hates who he is. That could build up way more, you know, through real punches, possibly leads up to an MMA-type fight at a pay-per-view. Who knows? But right now, I don't want to see it. I want to wait, and I'm going to say that Lord Tensai or one of the WWE talents gets involved in this match. That way, you know, John Cena doesn't necessarily... Everybody's saying that if John Cena loses, he's effectively buried. You know, because he just lost to The Rock at WrestleMania. I don't believe that one bit. Because if he loses 2 pay-per-views in a row, he might have to go back to his old ways. You know, he tempted... I'm thinking it was a red herring. They did the same thing with CM Punk being a drunk storyline, kind of throwing us out, making us think he was going to be a chain gang. So maybe more people buy the pay-per-view hoping to see that old Cena. But I don't see that happening. What I could see happening is where Cena's like, you know what? I'm not going to let it get to me. I'm going to go out there, hustle, loyalty, respect, all that shit. And then John Cena gets screwed by John Laurinaitis, and then he turns back into chain gang. He's not going to turn heel. But even back when WWE put up a clip of Jesus versus John Cena when he retained the Spinner United States title and Carlito came out and John Cena hit him with a chain, he was still cheered. So he can still be that kind of chain gang thugonomics without being a heel. Because the WWE wouldn't make sense to go heel, but they could sell a lot more merchandise too, going back to that thugonomics gimmick, along with keeping up his gimmick. But I'm going to say that's a red herring. I'm going to say Brock Lesnar picks up a win tonight, but it's not going to be a clean win. There's going to be some interference. That is just my prediction. Let me know what your prediction is down below. Make sure you leave a comment on the video. It really does help me out as this video is kind of going up late. My name is Tubby. Thank you very much for watching, Tubby Nation. You guys have a great day. Tubby out.